What we're going to be doing today, guys, is we're going to be going over some ATI TEAS 7 realistic practice test questions. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing one question from each section, and then we're just going to be rotating it out. So just let me know in the comments when you're taking your TEAS exam. Let me know what section you're the most worried about. Okay, I see some people already throwing down some answers. I see C, I see C. Okay. Jen. All right, it's 6:03. Let's get started. So, I've already seen some people throw their answer down in the comments. We're going to talk about this answer in 10 seconds. Which of the following sentences is correct? And I love this question because not technically it is asking you about sentences, but you do need to use some critical thinking skills. You need to you need to be evaluating the punctuation. You need to be evaluating the format as well as the capitalization. All right, I see some C's, I see some A's. Do we have... After I finish the diagnostic test, does it give me feedback? Yes. So if you go over to smarteditionacademy.com, we have a free practice test. You can actually also access that on our mobile app. And at the end of each section, it has a diagnostic report that tells you exactly what you need to study. And every topic that's on that diagnostic report, there is videos and an interactive study module for you to access. Yes. Why do they all sound right? Because this is a difficult question. Is the math section basic math? So that depends on what you call basic math. So your math section is going to include pretty much all of the math that you learned in high school up until about Algebra 1. You are not going to see anything from calculus or statistics. You're not going to see anything from the quantitative, like math stuff. You're not going to see anything crazy like that. You are going to see word problems. You are going to see, solving inequalities. You're going to have to know your formulas for circles, areas, things like that. So very basic geometry and up to Algebra 1 math. Yes, I'm going to go over why the other answers are not correct. Okay, so the correct answer here is C. And the reason why it is C is because the first thing I want you guys to look at is the quotation marks. The quotation marks are probably the easiest thing that people get tripped up on. A lot of the times people put it inside of the terminal explanation points. So that's the first thing here to tell you that this is correct. And the capitalization is also correct here. He should be capitalized and my is supposed to be capitalized. The comma is in the right place. And again, the terminal punctuation, which basically is just it's a fancy way for saying the punctuation that ends a sentence, is correct. So I saw some people put in, do we need to know how to solve irregular shapes for math? Yes, the formulas you need to memorize really quickly are just your circles, your cubes, your squares, and your rectangles. If there's going to be like a really weird shape on your TEAS exam that it wants you to solve for area or volume, that they will give you the formula for. So the reason why, number 1, I asked Scott, how was your day? Why that is incorrect is because it doesn't have any quotation marks. It should have quotation marks right here. So that's why A is wrong. B, same reason. Scott said it was awesome. This should have quotation marks as well. And it is missing. And then for those of us who said D, I said that's wonderful. It's also missing its quotation marks. So C is the correct answer. Okay. Next question here. We're going to go on over to the science section. So I'm going to let you guys read this question here. And so for the science section, a lot of people are only focused on A and P. And I understand why, because the science section technically has 18 scored A and P questions. But you've also got 8 scored chemistry questions. You've got 8 scored biology questions, and then you have 9 scored scientific reasoning questions. So this question is really based on the foundation of chemistry. We're talking about chemical solutions. Oh, I see the alphabet in the comments here. That means this is a good question. I see A, I see B, I see C or A. Kiki says A, Taffy says A, Melissa says C. Hi Shirley, welcome to the live. We're just doing a T7 science practice question here. I see some A's, I see some B's, I see some A's, okay. I see some C's. Okay. Fadi, you're very, very confident. Okay, I'm seeing lots and lots of A's here. Okay. Can I explain how it's scored? Yes. So the way that the TEAS exam is scored, it's really scored based on a cumulative average. So meaning all of your individual test sections are going to have like an average percentage of how you did on that particular section. And then at the end, you're going to get kind of like a total average. And the way that schools, is this a states of matter chemistry question? Yes, it is. The states of matter, properties of matter, these are all things that you're going to see on your upcoming T7 exam. And this particular question is the building block for chemical solution questions, which are ultimately going to test you on things like calculating molarity, calculating moles, things like that. Okay, so the correct answer here, guys, I know a lot of you said A, but the correct answer is actually C. Will this be posted on YouTube? Yes, we will post the replay up on YouTube, but just because we post the replay doesn't mean that you should leave us. Lauren says, no, I see yes, woohoos. Yes, and it's very normal, guys, to have to retake the TEAS exam. Giving yourself 6 weeks to do it, I think is perfect. You just need to make sure that you use something that's going to help you study. Using something like the T7 online course that has everything you need in one place is going to be the easiest thing that you can do. We are doing it for 30% off tonight, which makes the course less than $30. And the T7 online course has 8 practice tests, a mobile app, interactive study lessons, flashcards, and videos. So we have everything that you need for every topic. Sarah says, I take my TEAS and my HESI next week. Well, that's good because that means that you're going to be able to be prepared for the exam because the TEAS and the HESI are really close to one another. They're very similar. Does the math section have a physical calculator or on the screen? The math section is going to have a 4-function calculator on the screen. Okay, so let's talk about this question. So let's talk about first what saturated and unsaturated means. So unsaturated means that the solution has not reached the maximum amount of solute, okay? Whereas saturated means that it has reached its maximum amount of solute. So when we talk about a spoonful of sugar is added to a hot cup of tea, the sugar dissolves. It's not A, because you can keep adding sugar to that hot cup of tea. Just because I added 1 spoon of sugar doesn't mean it's saturated. It's unsaturated because I'm still mostly drinking hot tea just with a little bit of sugar. Okay, so that's why it is not saturated and that's why it is unsaturated. I registered to take the TEAS February 11th. Is that enough time to study and review all the sections? Well, so that gives you about 3 weeks. And that really depends. If you just finished your prereqs and everything is really fresh of mind for you, then I would say, yeah, that's a good amount of time. Now, if it's been a hot minute or if there's a particular section that you're nervous about that you need some refreshers on, then I think that maybe you should give yourself at least 5 to 6 weeks, because what happens is a lot of people take the TEAS exam and they don't get the score that they need to be competitive, and then they need to retake it. And with the TEAS, you need to wait at least 2 weeks to retake it. Some schools will make you wait 30 or 60 days. So you have to be really strategic about when you are actually scheduling it. Are the HESI and TEAS similar? Yes, they are similar. How similar are the Smart Edition practice test questions to the real exam? Can I give you an example of saturated? Yes and yes. So the practice tests are very similar. We have timed practice tests, so it gives you a real simulation of what the tests are going to feel like in terms of time. Our practice test questions go over the same topics as well as the same breakdown, right? So in the beginning, I was saying, hey, the science section, it has 18 of these questions, 8 of this questions, 8 of this questions, 9 of this stuff. Our tests are very, very similar, and we write them in a way that's very realistic and aligned, and we are always editing them. Where do I buy the practice test? So you can get the online course that has 8 practice tests on our website, smarteditionacademy.com, and you can use code 30TT at checkout for 30% off. And you will get way more than just practice test questions. Okay? Okay. So the difference, so Apple user said, so the difference between saturated and unsaturated is saturated means you cannot add more to the solution because like it's all used up. Whereas unsaturated means that the solution basically still has more, the solution has not reached the maximum amount of solute. So for example, the website is smarteditionacademy.com. It's right up here, and the code is 30TT, 30TT. So for example, Apple user, we're talking about a hot cup of tea. So think about a hot cup of tea or a cup of coffee. You have black coffee or black tea. If I add just 1 spoon of sugar to it, what do I have? I don't have a cup of sugar. I still have a cup of tea, or I have a cup of coffee just with 1 spoonful of sugar. That is what makes it unsaturated. Now, if I took that same cup of tea and I pretty much added like 2 pounds of sugar to it, and then it was mostly sugar, then we would get closer to saturated. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you want some more examples on these type of questions on states of matter, properties of matter, and chemical solutions, send us a DM and I'll be happy to help you out. How long is the TEAS valid for? So the TEAS is valid for 24 months. Some schools will only accept it within a 12-month period, so always check with your school. Okay. All right, so we've got a reading question. So I'm going to give you guys a second to read this. And then we're going to talk about the correct answer. You guys are mighty quiet in the comments. That's how I know you guys are reading. All right, we got some fast readers here. I see C's, I see C's, I see B's. All right, I see 10 people put in C. TikTok likes to tell me and count. I don't know how it does that, but it does. Now I see 17 C's, 18 C's, 20 C's, see some A's, see some B's. All right, amazing. B or C. Perfect. So guys, when you take your reading section, which is going to be the first section right out of the gate, you are not able to pick and choose your sections that you take. So you will start off with reading. And with reading, you have just over a minute per question. And a lot of people trip out about that because they think that it's something like an ACT or an SAT where you're going to get these really long passages. So What the passages will actually be like is they're going to maybe be this long, maybe a few sentences more, maybe broken out into 2 paragraphs. Maybe it's going to include a picture of like a label or a map or a picture of a poster. It's going to have it. Some of them have some sort of like chart or illustration of some sort, but this is about the size of a passage. So that makes a lot of people really, really nervous. But this is the proper size of a passage. Nobody's expecting you to read a 5-paragraph essay and answer a bunch of questions. What is the order of the section? So you've got reading, math, science, and then English. Okay. And so for all of you that are saying that it's C, you are correct. The answer is C. On the reading section, you should expect about 9 questions that are going to ask you about things like main idea. 9 questions scored on your reading section about main idea, topic sentences, and supporting details. So it is super important that you know the difference between these 4 things. And it's important. Oh my gosh, my handwriting is all crooked. Well, you know what I'm saying because you're listening. So it's super important that when you're taking the reading section and you're studying and you're refreshing yourself. Okay, I'm sorry, Josephine. I wrote crooked. 9 questions scored on the reading section about the main idea, the topic sentences, and supporting detail. Thank you, Martina. I appreciate you. So if you need more practice on the reading section, our T7 online course, we actually have dedicated practice test banks all on these specific topics. I think we have like over 100 questions just about main idea, topic sentences, and supportive details. And every question comes not only with the passage, a written explanation, but also a video explanation that explains to you why the answer is correct or isn't correct. So you can get our online course today for 30% off at smarteditionacademy.com. Use code 30TT Use code 30TT at checkout, and you'll get our course for less than $30. Best deal. Does it have a mobile app? Yes. So you can get the online course for 30% off. It comes with 8 practice tests, 100 videos, interactive lessons on everything you need to know for the TEAS exam, and a study app, flashcards, study group, and more. And you can get it for less than $30 when you use code 30TT. All right, next question. Now we're back to math. So while you guys are working out this answer on your scratch note piece of paper, I want to remind you guys that when you take your TEAS exam, you're not going to have any conversions provided to you, so you do need to memorize those. In addition, you're not going to have your most common formulas provided to you. So that's why it's not provided to you, because you are supposed to have the area of a circle formula memorized. For how long is it good? So when you buy it, you can get a 1-month subscription, or you can get a 3-month subscription. And the way that our 3-month subscription works is you buy 2 months and you get 1 free. So it's already a really good deal. And then you can get an extra 30% off on top of that. Are we given a calculator for the math section? Yes, you're provided with a on-screen calculator. And it's just going to be a 4-function calculator. All right, so I see some D's, I saw some C's. D, C, okay. Never mind, it's a D. I love that. As long as you don't click next section on your TEAS exam, you can always go back and change your answer. D, D, D. Okay. For all of you who said that this answer is D, 25 pi, you are correct. You guys are so awesome. So yes, you need to know the area of a circle formula, and as a few people here have mentioned, the formula for that is A equals pi. Let's pretend there's a little squiggly sign there. R2, where A is the area. Then we've got pi, and then we've got radius squared. Beautiful. Okay. How did I get that answer? Okay. So let's do this problem together before we move on to the next question. So this is our formula, right? We've got area equals pi r squared. And pi, the little symbol pi, you can say that pi always equals 3.14. Oh my God, I forgot about math. It's okay. You're going to get it. You just have to practice, okay? There's no shame in your game. So all you need to do here, Lauren, is you just need to plug in what you know, okay? So it wants you to know the area, okay? So we're going to keep A for area because we don't know it. That's what it's asking us for. Pi is 3.14, okay? And actually, you know what? I'm doing too much because if you look, see, and this is how the TEAS tricks you. This is actually not solving all the way through because in the answer choices, it's already giving us pi. So this is actually even easier. You just need to subscribe. You just need to substitute for what you know. So we've got pi, and then the radius is r. It told us that the radius was 5. So you've got 5, and then you square. When you take your TEAS exam, you're just going to be, there's not going to be a cube or an exponent button. So all you need to know is that 5 squared is really just 5 times 5, which is 25. So then that leaves you with area equals 25 pi, which is this. Fatty says full answer 78.5. Yes. Perfect. Awesome. And Lauren, don't feel bad, but when using pi, it will let you know working the question right. So when you actually take your TEAS exam, it's not going to have a pi button, right? So like on a scientific calculator, there's that little squiggly button and it puts in pi for you. It's not going to be like that. So if you take your TEAS exam and say in this case, these were not the answers and it made you break it down all the way, kind of like how I was when we first started this problem, all you need to know is when you see the pi symbol, just pretend that it says 3.14. Okay, so in this case, if you needed to solve this all the way down, you would just do 25 times 3.14 because that represents pi, and then you would have had your total area. Okay. And guys, I know that this math can be really tricky and there's a lot of things that you need to remember and it can feel like it's from decades or even lifetimes ago. None of the formulas are provided to you. The conversions are not provided to you. You do need to memorize them. You need to memorize things for basic trig. You need to also memorize things like rates of change, principal interest formula. Okay, so if you need a refresher on any of these concepts, we have a T7 online course that teaches you everything you need to know for your math section, your reading section, your English section, and your science section. Okay, all you need to do is go to smartadditionacademy.com, use code 30TT at checkout to get 30% off the T7 online course. It'll be less than $30. Is the TEAS test all multiple choice? No, but it's like 98.5% multiple choice. You should expect mostly multiple choice questions. And the code is not working on the site. TT30 is not working. Pardon, 30TT is not working. That's what you guys are saying? Okay, we can have someone check that. It should be TT30. Maybe I put it wrong. Maybe I just got too excited about the practice test questions and I forgot all about the discount code. Okay, try TT30 in case I put it backwards. Melissa, so before we go into this question here, so the reason why is because in this answer, they left pi. So they didn't simplify it all the way. And so when you have a question like this, right? So remember our formula, it was A equals pi r squared. Think about PEMDAS, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So please excuse, E is for exponents. So you solve for the exponents first. So that's 5 squared. And that's what gave us 25 pi. And that's why that's the answer. TT30 works. Okay. All right, y'all. It's TT30. Okay. Okay, nurse 2B1 says it does work. Okay. All right. So let's go into our next practice test questions. So this is a question about scientific reasoning. Okay, and scientific reasoning is, in my opinion, the best way to get your T7 science score way up. And while you guys are working through this problem, I'm just going to give you my personal philosophy. With the TEAS exam, you've got 18 A and P. I would say most people feel nervous about that, but most people have taken their prereqs, A and P 1 and 2, and so it's pretty fresh. And then you've got your 8 biology questions and your 8 chemistry questions, and I think that freaks out a lot of people. And rightfully so, because for biology, you're talking about things like microorganisms, you're talking about macromolecules, you're talking about genetics and DNAs and sexual reproduction of cells, you're talking about cellular respiration, types of cells, I mean, the whole nitty gritty. It's a lot of stuff for 8 questions. Same with chemistry. Your chemistry questions are going to go over like chemical bonding, chemical solutions, states of matters, properties of matter. You're going to have to balance equations. Again, really high level stuff. So, and Nurse 2B says, I've seen a lot of people say they get a lot of chemistry. So there's only 8 scored, 8 chemistry questions, but on your TEAS exam, you are going to get a few extra questions that are unscored. So some people will say that it felt very heavy on the chemistry section, but while that might be the case, only 8 of those chemistry questions are scored. So my point is, when you've got 9 scientific reasoning questions, scientific reasoning goes over things like scientific tools, designing an experiment, the scientific method, stuff that we have learned since like elementary and middle school and part of high school. To me, it's like the easiest thing to get refreshed on. But it can be very easy to forget things like what's the difference between deductive and inductive reasoning? What is the best tool to use in a scientific experiment? So I always tell people, study your A and P and make sure that you really know your scientific reasoning, because if you can get 9 out of 9 on those questions, that's going to bump your score all the way up. It's going to help you build confidence, and then you can inch your way into those scarier topics like chemistry and biology. Okay, so for those of you who said the answer is C, you're correct, okay? C is correct, so you guys did a great job. Does anybody have any questions about why the answer is C before I move on to what are we doing next? Oh, we're going back to, what are we doing? Oh, we're going back to English. Do you know if there's microorganisms on the test? Yes. So for microorganisms, you're going to need to know what their functions are. You're going to need to know their structures. So when we talk about things like microorganisms, we're talking about living organisms that are able to transmit diseases. So that's things like viruses, parasites, etc. And then you also need to have an understanding of what diseases are infectious and not, and also how diseases are transmitted. Can you please explain? Yes. So before we move on to our English section question, we're going to talk about why the correct answer is C. So this is asking us which of the following accurately describes the role of a double-blind procedure in reducing bias in the study. So what helps is if you know what these two terms mean, okay? So we've got bias, and then we've got double-blind procedure, okay? And this is why just refreshing on these concepts that we probably haven't even talked about in 10 years is important. So to minimize bias, that basically just means that we don't want the researcher to be able to form an opinion or be influenced by something. And so when we talk about a double-blind procedure, it talks about the researcher and the participants not knowing who is getting what. Because, for example, if I am the researcher and I work for the drug company, I want to say that my drugs work. If I know what participants got the drug, maybe, not saying that this is what happens, but maybe I would be more inclined to make more assumptions, to really believe that things are getting better for that person, or that they are that they are being impacted by the drug. So by doing a double-blind procedure, nobody involved in the experiment knows. The researchers don't know who got any of the medication, or they don't know who has been doing, who's been taking supplements or who's been on the treadmill. They don't know anything. And then, like the placebo effect, exactly. So the reason why A is not correct, A is a tricky question and a tricky answer, and if you answered A, I can understand why. So this question, this answer choice is actually partially correct. However, it doesn't fully mention the experimental group or explain the double-blind procedure. And with the TEAS exam, if you've been watching our lives, you know that I have a few different tips that I always drop. One is to always get clear about what the question is asking you. The second thing is you want to always pick the most right answer. And I know that that's not bad grammar. I know that that's not good grammar, but you always want to pick the answer that is most right. So if you have two answers that seem to be saying the same thing, but one is just giving a little bit more information, the one with a little bit more information is going to be the one that's correct. Okay? All right, so we're going to move on now to an English question. Hi, Rico. Hi, Stoke. Thank you for the follow, Purpose Child. All right, guys, if you're just joining us, we're just doing some T7 practice test questions. What is a proposition? Okay, we are going to be talking about propositions. For your T7 exam, for the English section, if you're a part of our study group, we probably see this post once a day, if not more. People saying, oh my God, the English section was so much harder than I could have ever anticipated, because basically we all speak English, we understand English, we consume content in English, so we're just like, yeah, okay, how hard is it going to be? Actually pretty hard, right? Because you need to know things like all of your parts of speech, you need to know the different types of clauses, you need to know your conjunctions, there's just so much information that you need to know for the English section, and it's just stuff that they go over really in primary school, and then they just never talk about it again, it feels like. So if you need a refresher on the English language and grammar, Don't forget, you can use code 30TT at checkout to get 30% off the TEAS 7 online boys. The TEAS 7, see, I was reading. I can't talk and read these comments, guys. Okay. So I see some B's. I see some 1s. I see some 2s. I see some 3s. Yes, you can use fanboys to memorize your propositions. Fanboys will help. Okay. So the correct answer here is D. There are 3 propositions in this sentence. Okay, so before I identify which are the propositions in this sentence, I just want to talk about what is a proposition. So a proposition is a word that shows the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and its relationship to another word in the sentence, okay? And the best way that you can remember prepositions is remember that prepositions talk about, most of the time, they indicate some sort of direction, location, time, or method. So preposition, think about the position, okay? If you can remember position, think about location, direction, then that's going to help you remember what a proposition. Sabrina says, I knew it was 3 and I said 1. Well, why did you say that, Sabrina? It's very common to second guess ourselves, and that a lot of the time will be why we get answers wrong. So don't feel bad. Just know that you know this and that you've got this. Can I write that down, please? Okay. Yes, I can write that down. Just don't make fun of my handwriting, guys, so you guys can take a screenshot. Yes, CC, we're going to talk about which ones they are. So the athletes traveled from, okay, we're talking about a position. So from is one, okay? The athletes traveled from, that's a direction, Boston to, they're going someplace, they're going to a location, to, and then we've got for, which is the purpose of the travel, okay? Are these lives recorded? Can we play them back? Yes. We put them up on our YouTube page, Smart Edition Nursing, and then we also send them out by email to people who join our email list. If you want to join our email list, you can do so by going to our website and signing up for a free TEAS practice test. You'll get access to the practice test as well as all of the replays. Are we doing these every week now? Yes, we're going to be doing these every week now. Okay, so I'm going to quickly write this down so you guys can take a screenshot and save this. So a preposition, okay, it indicates the direction, the location, time, or method. Preposition in this sentence is from, to, and for. But other common prepositions that you might find are things like in, on, at, okay? Florentine says, will you be doing the Kaplan too? So technically these practice test question, guys, they are adequate for the Kaplan, the HESI A2 entrance exam, as well as the ATI TEAS. Okay. And if you guys need a refresher on anything related to the English language usage section, or math, or reading, or science, or any of the good stuff that we've covered so far in today's live, just know that you guys can get 30% off the T7 online course by using code 30TT at checkout. You're going to get 8 practice tests, 100 videos, interactive lessons, a study app, flashcards, and more. And every question that we've been doing has been coming from our T7 online course. Every question also comes with a detailed video explanation with better handwriting to explain to you which ones are correct. That's right, Kiki. It might be TT30. It might be 30TT. It's going to be one of those for 30% off the T7 online course. What days are you on TikTok? Well, I scroll TikTok every day, but we're going to be doing these T7 online reviews. We're going to be doing them twice a week. We're going to be doing Wednesdays, and we haven't decided what other day of the week works. So let me know down in the comments what days. Because we thought about Friday nights, we thought about the weekend, but we were like, maybe people don't want to study for the TEAS on the weekend. But then other people on the team, they were like, well, if you work all day, you got to study on the weekend. The hustle is real. So let us know in the comments what days. Okay, 2 for Mondays. Mondays? Y'all want to study on Mondays? I was not expecting that. Monday and Wednesday. Okay, that's 4 for Mondays. Take my TEAS this Friday. Well, good luck. Is it your first time taking this test? Okay, we've got 2 test takers taking it on Friday. We're sending you good energy for your upcoming tests. Zyla says that she takes hers on next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I failed my reading by like 1%. Yeah, the reading section and the English section gives students a lot harder of a time. I think because the questions can be very tricky. One of the common things that we see a lot is people will use like their real life logic to answer a question and not specifically what the TEAS gives you. So one of the tips that I always tell people is if it's not in the passage, if it's not written on that screen that you're reading the passage from, it's not the correct answer. You should never have to use outside knowledge. So I don't care if that test tells you the sky is green and you know for a fact that it is blue, you're going to put down that the sky is green as the answer choice because what they say on that passage is what's going to be the correct answer, no matter what. Do I do Zoom calls? No, we don't do Zoom calls, but we do have the online course. And our online course, every lesson module has videos that go over all of the topics within that module. And we have really amazing teachers that really teach everything so well and share a lot of tips and tricks. And then all of our practice test questions, we have over 1,500 of them. Those also all come with videos. Okay, so I see some D's. Yeah, there will always be 2 questions. It's almost always down to 2 answers. That's definitely correct. All right, so I'm seeing all the D's in the chat, and that is correct. The answer is D, to entertain. Nesquik says, do you have real-world problem examples? I might. Actually, my next question is a word problem, so I got you, Nesquik. Why is it D? So the reason why it's D is because the author's purpose here is going to be to entertain, because we're talking about science fiction. We're talking about genetic mutants waging war. This would not be to inform you. even though it has science in there, because science fiction is telling you that it's fiction, right? That it's made up, it's made believe, and things that are made believe are to entertain you. And then you have things like genetic mutants waging war. It's not something like scientific-y, right? It's an imaginative story for somebody to enjoy. So that's what makes this author's purpose, to entertain. And the answer A is wrong. That's also kind of a wild one. Technically, author's purpose is only to persuade, to inform, or to entertain, P-I-E, pie. So to decide is actually not even author's purpose. When are we reviewing science? So we just did some science questions. So you just got to make sure that you register for our events. We're doing one question for each section, and then we're rotating. So we've done some biology, some chemistry, and some scientific reasoning ones. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to a word problem, everyone's favorite. I'm going to let you guys read this question and the answer. I'm going to let you guys work out that math. And as a reminder, guys, if you are taking your test in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in 2 months, you can make studying for the TEAS exam super simple, and you can just keep it easy by getting yourself a TEAS 7 online course. An online course makes it easy because it has everything in one place. If you've got 10 minutes, you can use the mobile app and you can listen to a video. You could answer some practice test questions. You can connect it to Bluetooth when you're driving. It just makes it so much easier. And we also have a pass guarantee. If you use our TEAS 7 online course and you do not pass, you will get 200% of your money back. We are that confident that if you use our program, you will pass the exam. Okay? So all you have to do to get 30% off, that makes the course less than $30. This is the best deal in TEAS 7 test prep. Nobody is out here doing 8 practice tests, a mobile app, flashcards, interactive lessons, and videos at that price point, with a pass guarantee. So use code 30TT at checkout, or TT30 at checkout, for 30% off. Are there different versions of the TEAS exam, or is it only the 7? So right now, it is the ATI TEAS version 7 is the test that is being administered nationwide. There are rumors that there is a TEAS 8 coming, but probably not until 2026. So no reason to panic about that. There are different versions of the test. There's like 4 to 6 versions. That's why it's important to not focus on memorizing practice test questions, because realistically the TEAS polls has over 1,200 questions in their computer system that they could put on your test. So there's no point in memorizing practice test questions. I love questions like these because I see the whole alphabet in the comment. You are definitely going to pass. I want you to speak it into the existence. Don't say, hopefully I pass. Say, I will pass. Say, I'm going to use your website as my study guide and I will pass. Okay? D, D, B, A. Okay. Will this help with the HESI A2? Yes, we actually have a HESI A2 practice test, and we also have a HESI A2 online course. These questions will give you adequate enough practice for the TEAS, the Kaplan, as well as the HESI A2. All right, Lauren, earlier you said you couldn't remember math, but I'm happy to tell you that C is the right answer. I love that you rewrote the sentence. Yes, you will pass. Absolutely. So C, 150 is the answer. Okay, so let's go over this. Does the pass guarantee apply to the HESI? Yes. The HESI, the Kaplan, and the TEAS. If you use the courses, you will pass, guaranteed, or your money back. Even if you use the discount codes, you can get 30% off at checkout. All right, so let's talk about this problem. The answer is C, 150. So happy to see those happy emojis coming from you. Lauren. Okay, so remember we talked about on the TEAS exam, formulas are not provided and conversions are not provided, but you will get a 4-function calculator, KB. You will get a calculator. It will be provided to you on the screen, but it's a very basic calculator, none of that fancy stuff, okay? And you cannot use your phone. So the first thing we need to do here is we need to know that there are 1,000, okay, milligrams in 1 gram, okay? That is the conversion we need to know so that we can set up this equation correctly, all right? So it says a doctor writes a month-long prescription for a total of 15 grams of medicine, okay? So we know that there's 15 grams of medicine. If the pharmacist fills the order using pills that are 100 milligrams of medicine each, how many pills will be needed for the prescription? Okay, so we now can do the next step. So if we know that we've got 15 grams, okay, and we know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, then what we can do here is we can multiply this by 1,000, all right? And that's going to give us 15,000 mg. But we're not done because we need to know how many of the pills will be needed for the prescription. We're still converting here, okay? Where to go to get the discount? Go to smartadditionacademy.com and use code 30TT at checkout. Okay, guys, I think I did a typo. I thought it was 30TT. It might also be TT30, okay? Please forgive me. Might be TT30 or 30TT, and someone said that you had to make sure you pressed enter or that you typed in enter or apply. Okay. TT30. Okay. TT30 for your 30% off. So we've got our 15 grams times 1,000. That gives us 15,000 mg, okay? But the pills are broken down by 100 milligrams. So what we need to do is we just need to divide that. And when you put 15,000 divided by 100 into your 4-function calculator, you're going to get 150. Yes, there is a time limit on the test. Each test section is timed. Your time from one section does not roll over into another section. Now, if you have a learning disability or really any disability of any kind, you can actually ask ATI for accommodation. It takes up to 30 days to get that approved. And what that can do is if you have a concern about time, if you have ADHD or dyslexia or anything like that, as long as you have medical records and proof that you will submit to ATI, because they will absolutely ask for that, then you can get an adjustment on your time. But it does take 30 days to get approved. If you are taking your test tomorrow, do not ask for an accommodation. Nobody's going to see that email. All right. Does everyone understand this question? I can move on to what are we doing next? Oh, we're going to A and P next. Guys, this hour, it just flies by. My goodness. All right, so on your TEAS exam, you're going to get 18 scored A and P questions. Your A and P questions are going to go over everything that you learned in A and P 1 and A and P 2. Okay, so you're going to need to know the organization of the human body. You're going to need to know your skeletal system. You're going to need to know your muscular system, cardiovascular system, urinary system, all of the systems you're going to need to know. Okay, I see some C's, I see some A's, I see some D's. See some A's. R is not an R is not an answer, Kiki. Brittany says A. Hi, Jocelyn. Welcome. We're doing some T7 practice test questions. We're almost done. We're going to get through at least 1 or 2 more questions. We appreciate that you are here. It was a typo. I know. I was just teasing you. It was too easy. All right, guys, so the correct answer for this question, it's D. So for all the people that said D, you are correct. So the reason why this is correct is because this is one of the primary functions of the flat bones. So when we talk about flat bones, we're talking about things like the cranial bones, we're talking about things like the sternum and the scapula. And basically, what do these bones do? They provide a broad surface for muscles to attach to them, and that is essential for movement and stability. Okay, so let's talk, because I saw some A's, I saw some B's, I saw some C's, so I'm going to quickly go over why it's not these answer choices. Hold on, TikTok's making me do something weird so that I can stay live with you, otherwise it's going to end the thing. Okay. All right, cool. We're back. Let's go over this question in detail, and then we're going to do one more question together before we wrap it up. Allie, we do these lives twice a week. We've decided we're going to do them on Wednesdays, and it seems like people in the comments really liked the idea of doing them on Mondays. We also have a T7 online course at smarteditionacademy.com. You can get 30% off our T7 online course if you use TT30, okay? And you will get access to 8 practice tests, 100 videos, interactive lessons, a study app, flashcards, and more. And the program is a pass guarantee, and it's less than $30, okay? Yes, so it is a monthly subscription. You can do 1 month with the 30% off. It's like 24, 25 something, give or take. Does the code expire when the live is over? So the code will last for 1 day, okay? And then if you decide to do the 90-day program, basically you pay for 2 months and we give you the third one for free, and you're getting the 30% off on top of it, okay? All right, so the reason why it is not A is because flat bones, they do help with posture, right? Because they do support muscles and organs, but maintaining posture is really more the responsibility and main functions of other bones like the vertebrae, which is an irregular bone, or like long bones that are in the limbs. It is not the primary function of a flat bone. It's never too late. You're joining the T7 online course practice test question party. We do have just 2 more questions that we're going to do today. If you need more than 3 months. So your subscription, it would just renew. If you have questions about pricing, Mountain, you can just drop us a chat at smarteditionacademy.com and say, hey, I'm Mountain from TikTok, and we'll help you out. We'll give you the TikTok special. Just make sure that you're telling us that you are Mountain from TikTok, and I'll honor that for you. It's not answer choice B. I did see a lot of B's in the comments. And so again, flat bones, they're not designed for mechanical strength. This is really more something that long bones do, like for example, the femur. The femur is going to help support body weight and resist physical forces. And it's not answer choice C, because flat bones really do not contribute to movement. Instead, they protect the vital organs and they serve as an attachment point, okay? And so if we talk about the functions of flat bones, we really need to think about muscle attachment, okay? And we also need to think about the fact that they also protect. Those are their main functions. So before we move on from this A and P question to do an ELU question, I just want to talk about something that you need to know for bones really quick. And if you get our T7 online course, we go over everything you need to know for the different sections of A and P. But for bones, you need to know more than just like, it's not like A and P class where it's going to be like, where is a flat bone? What is a flat bone, right? As you can see, these questions are just a little bit more critical. You have to really have an understanding of what does it do? What is its purpose? How does it work with other parts of the body? Why? How does it maintain homeostasis? So when you are studying for A and P, you really need to be going just a little bit deeper than just like, what is it and where is it, okay? I want you to always know the function. You're going to see questions about what the function of something is. You're going to get asked questions about what the structure is. So it might ask you a question like, what is the structure of a flat bone? What's inside of it? What does it look like? Is it spongy on the inside? So just think about those more details. Know functions, know structure, know how it helps maintain homeostasis, things like that, okay? All right, and so the last question we're going to do here, since we're over time, we're going to do an ELU question. I appreciate you for being here, Yvette. Welcome, and I hope that you can join us in the future. Okay, D's. I see nothing but D's. So that means that you guys are experts at types of clauses. Okay. D. Turtle Girly says, please go over. Yes, we can go over this. What is a clause? Yes, we're going to go over this. All right, guys. So the correct answer, oh my God, I don't remember what a clause is. Yes, I'll give you examples. And you know what? Don't worry about not remembering what a clause is. It's been such a long time for most of us going over things like prepositions and adverbs and modifiers and types of sentences and all of these things. So if you need a refresher for these things that you're going to find on the English language usage section, just know that we can help you. We offer a pass guarantee. We can teach you everything that you need to know for the ELU, math, science, and reading section. Just head on over to our website, smartadditionacademy.com. You can get 30% off the T7 online course when you use code TT30. You're going to get 30% off. Your monthly price will be less than $30, and you're going to get 8 practice tests, 100 videos, interactive lessons, a study app, flashcards, and more. Okay, so the right answer, like we said, is D, and that's because the clause, since he left his job, it can't stand alone as a complete sentence. So if I said to you, since he left his job, you would be like, hello, like, did you get distracted? Like, what are you talking about? You would be waiting for me to finish my sentence, right? Because this cannot stand alone as a sentence by itself, okay? So that's what makes it dependent. These words here, they are dependent on other words to create a complete sentence, okay? I hope that makes sense. So basically, because it is not a complete thought, it is not a complete sentence, it needs something else for it to become a complete sentence, okay? And that's what makes it a dependent clause, okay? So in this particular clause, we've got he is the subject, and then left is the verb. That's the action. He left his job. And then since is going to be called your dependent or subordinate clause, okay? Because when you use the word since, if you think about when you use the word since, you're expecting a follow-up to that. Again, because when you say since, it's a kind of like a signal word. It's a cue that there's going to be something else added to that. Because, for example, what would make this sentence complete is you could say something like, since he left his job, he has been happier, right? That would make the sentence complete. And then that would make it a stronger complete sentence. Well, the reason why it is not main clause, who has to take this test? So anyone taking the entrance exam, the ATI TEAS 7 exam, typically that is for nursing programs, LPNs, RNs. I've also heard of vet techs, dental hygienists, ultrasound technicians. This is just one of the sections that one would have to take for the TEAS 7 exam. It's got science, math, reading, and ELU. It is used to gauge how ready you are to go into those secondary programs. Schools use it as a way to gauge, to make sure that you will be at the level you need to be so that your first few semesters are going to be successful for you. Because even though a lot of people complain that they don't want to take these entrance exams, they are kind of here to help you. And don't hate on me in the comments for saying that. Realistically, if you can't get a good grade on your TEAS exam and then you get accepted into the program that costs thousands upon thousands of dollars, it's just not going to be doing you any good or any service. So that's why those tests are in place. Are these only at 6 p.m. Eastern, or can you do it later for us on the West Coast? I mean, I'm willing to, nurse to be. I'm willing to. Maybe on Mondays we can do them a little later. All right. So thanks you guys for joining me tonight. Thanks for staying in there with me a few extra minutes later. We're going to do these twice a week. I think we decided we're going to do them on Mondays and Wednesdays. What you can do to make sure that you do not miss when we go live, okay? Just head over to our profile. You can follow us, and that way I think you'll be notified when we go live. You can also go to our website, sign up for a free TEAS practice test. That will automatically put you in our email list, and we will email you the links to the replay. We'll email you when we go live, and then we also have things like cheat sheets and things like that. We'll give you access to our study group, all that good stuff. And then again, you can get 30% off the TEAS 7 online course, which offers a pass guarantee. The course with the discount code is less than $30. The discount code is TT30 at smarteditionacademy.com. You will get 8 practice tests, 100 videos, interactive lessons for everything on the TEAS exam, okay? Chemical solutions, circles, triangles, pronouns, everything. You'll also get access to the study app, flashcards, and more. Okay? I feel bad. Someone said, oh, that's the last one. That felt so sad. Oh, okay, should we do just one more? Now I feel bad. Let me know if we should do one more. What do we have next? All right, the next one's a reading one. Okay, all right. Brown heart emoji, you got me. All right, let's do this reading practice test question together. See, and this is why when someone says bye, you don't just leave the live, because sometimes it turns around and gets better. I'm going to put my correct discount code up here. I can't believe I printed that wrong. How silly. How silly. All right, guys. I see a C. Where are my other answers in the comments? C. Look, guys, I speak Spanish. Okay. C is the correct answer. Yes. Also is a transition. It seems like you guys know your transition words. Perfect. And just to review, for some of us that may be too shy to put it down in the comments, no shame in your game, okay? We know that reading and English is one of those things that we forget about, especially nowadays with smartphones, okay? When's the last time we even wrote anything with our hands? So a transition word is a word that basically links ideas in writing and basically like connects the dots between them. So examples of transition words, just to jog your memory, you've got things like for example, which I know that's 2 words, but it counts as a transition. We've got however, in addition, also Therefore, in conclusion, I know you guys remember that from learning how to write 5-paragraph essays in elementary school. These are all examples, and it's not good for the memory when you don't write exactly. Mountain, make sure that you send us a chat on our website. So if you are looking to get the T7 online course for more than 3 months, we'll give you a special discount, okay? All right, guys. So perfect. We'll see you in the chat. So that's it, guys. We went over a lot of practice test questions. We will be back next week, but in the meantime, you can go to our website. You can sign up for the free practice test. The free practice test is timed. It has 170 questions, and you can actually access videos for each of the questions on that. Okay, so if you need extra studying, you can download the mobile app, or you can go to the website and take that practice test literally right after this is over, and you can keep practicing. If you need more than just a practice test, if you need help feeling confident, if you need a system and a structure, you can get 30% off the T7 online course. We do offer a pass guarantee. If you use our program, we guarantee that you will pass. It includes 8 practice tests, 100 videos, lessons, a study app, flashcards, and more. If you use TT30, you get 30% off. The course is less than $30. It's the best deal in test prep. And if you want more videos, you can go to our YouTube channel. We have literally over 100 videos. Smart Addition Nursing on YouTube. We just published a full-length reading practice test video that's 2 hours going over everything you need to know for the reading section. And we post videos on there all the time, so you can make sure that you subscribe. We'll also be posting the replays on there, okay? So, is a week enough for your course? I only have a week to study. Well, to be honest with you, that just depends. You can get a lot done in a week. We do have the course to be, you know what, Steph, I'm going to show you an example. And if you guys have to hop off, have a good night. I appreciate you. Steph, you can let me know in the comments how fresh your prerequisites are, but what makes our course special and why students typically do use it for about a month, maybe sometimes a little bit more, is because we have the information in a way that is really easy to understand. There's other test prep out there that really either don't explain it to you, they just give you a topical overview, and then there's other test prep out there, we're not going to call it any names, but they just give you way too much information and it makes your brain hurt and it's just like way too nitty gritty. So our book and our online course is really simple. All you need to do is log in and follow the system. Since you have a week, I would tell you to take the first practice test section by section. At the end of the practice test, there's going to be a little like report card that populates, and it's going to tell you how you scored in each section. And what you can do is you can pick 2 or 3 of the sections you got the lowest score in, and then you can go into the program and you can study those sections. So the text, I'm going to show you an example in just a second, is really easy to understand. It's very simple. Like, we tell people that you can study one of our topics in about an hour, because the text is really short and sweet, super easy to understand, colorful, really great for visual learners. Then you've got the video in the online course that kind of explains things, give you more examples. So you could be like washing the dishes, showering, walking your dog, driving, and you can be listening to that video. You don't have to have your face in a book. And then we also have practice test questions organized on that topic. So if you're like, hey, I really need more, I need more help on transitions, we have a section in the course where you can answer questions, practice test questions, all about transitions. And all of those questions have videos. So you can really, in a week, reinforce those areas that are weak. Okay, so if I had a week left to study and I really wanted to get my score up, that is how I would do it. Recently took A&P 2, but other courses were 7 years back. Yeah, so if you took A&P 1 and 2 recently, I would feel like you're pretty good on that. Definitely brush up on your math. I mean, you know what you need to do. You need to technically brush up on everything, but if A&P is good, that's 18 of the scored questions on the science section, so that should be something that you do well with. Think about maybe brushing up on your biology or your scientific reasoning, okay? How long is the live for? So we're just ending it. I was just answering someone's question in a long-winded way. But we'll be back on TikTok, and the replay of this will be available on YouTube if you missed it. You can check us out on YouTube, Smart Edition Nursing, and the replay will be up there tomorrow. We had a replay that we just published of last week, so if you're looking for like about an hour's worth of T7 reviews, go over to our YouTube channel and you can watch the TikTok replay. And then, like I was telling somebody else, we have hundreds of videos over on our YouTube channel. All right, Steph, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that I see you in the T7 course and in our study group, okay? We'll help you out. Have a good night, guys. See you soon.